Today what I want to talk about is how to set up and make your flashcards for our polyatomic ion quizzes. We're going to have 5 quizzes over these different polyatomic ions. Now, polyatomic ions are ions that contain more than one atom, hence the term polyatomic ions. And there are 25 polyatomic ions here, and I've listed them into 5 groups. So we'll have a quiz over group 1 first, then a quiz over group 2, etc. Now the quiz over group 2 will have all of group 2 plus 1 from group 1. The quiz over group 3 will have all of group 3 plus 1 from group 2 and 1 from group 1, all the way down to group 5. By the time we do group 5, you'll have all of the group 5 polyatomic ions and 1 from each of the other groups. So a series of 5 quizzes, you can't ever forget any of the polyatomic ions because you may see them again on a quiz later. So looking at these polyatomic ions, the way I've got them grouped is by charge. If you'll notice, all of the red ones that are up here all have a -1 charge on them. So all of these red ones are -1 charge. All of the blue ones, all of the ones on down to most of the way or part of the way through group 5, all of these blue ones up here are all our -2. So this one goes in with this group, and these are our -2 charges. So most of our polyatomic ions are -1 charged. Then the next biggest group has a -2 charge. Notice there are only 2 that have a -3 charge. And finally, our only positive polyatomic ion, NH4 plus, is ammonium. So there's our +1 polyatomic ion. Now, there are 5 groups, but there are 4 different charges. And the way I want you to set up your polyatomic ions is to have 4 different colors, not 5. These are not grouped by group number. They're grouped by color, if you will, on here. They're grouped by the charge. They don't have to be these colors. You don't have to use red, blue, green, and purple. You can use any colors you want. You can do it one of 2 ways. You can have 25 flashcards that are all, you've got 4 different colors of flashcards. So if you have 4 different colors of flashcards, you're going to need 14 of one color. You're going to need 8 of another color. So 14 of one color, 8 of another color, 2 of a third color, and you're only going to need 1 card of a different color for ammonia. Now, you can also do the cards all the same color of card, like if all you've got are white flashcards, and use markers to have different colors of writing on them. So you need 4 different colors of marker. The brighter and more different the colors are, the better. Red, green, blue, and purple are not bad, although blue and purple are kind of close together, but make them very different from each other. The way I want those cards to look then are like this. This is the template for the cards. One side of the card is going to have just the formula and charge, and be very careful about capitalization. I want this to be, almost all of them are both capital letters with a subscript and a superscript. If you start writing things like this, I'm going to count it wrong. If you write this, I'm going to count it wrong. I've got people who write it like this, and that's like triple, double, top secret wrong. So don't write it in any way other than the way that it's shown on that previous sheet we just looked at. Clear subscript, clear superscript, clear capitalization. There are a few that have lower cases. Take, for instance, permanganate, MnO4. Notice that I want a clear lowercase for that N. It's a negative charge. The M and the O are capitalized. 4 is a subscript. The negative is superscript. Be sure you're doing that very carefully when you write these cards so that you won't make mistakes on the test. Now the other side of the card is going to have the name of the element. Up here, if I were writing this, your name or your initials, something that lets you know whose card this is. And one of the cards is that you have on top when you turn them in, because this is going to be for a grade. One of the cards is going to need to have your full name on it, or you'll need to put a piece of paper in with them or something so that I can tell, um, not just initials, but whose cards they are. You can turn them in a baggie. You can turn them in wrapped in a rubber band, um, clipped with a clip, not a paper clip. Paper clips usually just flip right off and they're a mess. But one of those ways to turn them in will be fine. I'll try to grade them during a class period when you're in lab, and that way you'll be able to um, get them back to study before you leave for that class. The last thing in the bottom right-hand corner, guys, notice if you don't put these in the right positions, you're going to lose points. You know how picky I am. I want the name of the element in the middle. I want your initials upper left. I want the group number right on the bottom, so that when it comes time for you to study them, you know exactly which group it's in order to study. So those are the flashcards. That's the way I want the flashcards set up. And I'm going to say this one more time. Notice the two different ways you can have it. You can have like the top where you have a um, maybe a different color card, or excuse me, that you have all white cards. One of the best ways to do it is to highlight the outside of the card like this one is, and to put the formula on the inside in color. You can have different color cards and all the writing's the same color. But regardless, remember, you need to have 14 that are one color, 8 that are another color, 2 that are a third color, and 1 a fourth color. Make sure you categorize these correctly.